Hi and welcome back. In this video we're going to look at Mailgun. Mailgun is one of a family of email sending services. And Mailgun in particular I like because it's really straightforward to use and it's not, the most powerful email sending service in the world, but it sort of does everything you need to send simple emails using Python or indeed any other programming language. Now, if you want to send an email using Mailgun to anyone in the world, you need to have a domain name. For example, mailgun.com is a domain name, and tecladocode.com is a domain name. If you don't have a domain name, you can still go through this lecture and learn about using Mailgun, but you'll only be able to send emails to yourself. So that's just something to take into consideration. If you don't have a domain, the assumption is you don't have people who want to receive your emails or who have signed up to receive your emails yet. So that's why they don't let you send emails to people if you haven't got a domain name registered with Mailgun. So what we're going to do in order to learn about sending emails with Mailgun is we're going to first sign up. Now, to sign up is free and it takes 57 seconds allegedly. I'm sure it takes longer than that. But here, all you want to do is, fill in the details. You will not need to add payment info now if you want, at least not at the time of recording, and you want to stick to the free plan, okay? If you add payment info, it's going to put you on the pay-as-you-go plan, which means in the unlikely event that you do a infinite loop of sending emails, you will have to pay. So best thing to do, don't add payment info if you don't want to pay, and that'll keep you in the free plan, and you won't be able to go over it. So in case you make something wrong, nothing bad will happen, okay? So just fill in your details, click I'm not a robot, and then you will have your account. Now let's go over to what happens when you have an account already. When you log into Mailgun, you'll be received with something that looks more or less like this. A couple of things may be different because I have a domain that I've added to Mailgun already, and you won't have that, but nonetheless, you'll have a sort of dashboard. If you go over to your domains list, you'll have a sandbox domain, such as this one. And with a sandbox domain, you can only send emails to the email you signed up with. So in my case, that's up here on the right, jose@schoolofcode.me. This is an old account, no longer use School of Code. If you're interested in our stuff, it's tecladocode now, .com, in fact. So this sandbox domain, you can click on it, and you'll be received with some things here. And default SMTP login, and this is the email account that you can use using SMTP. You've got an API base URL, you've got a password, and you've got an API key. So the SMTP login and the password are used to log in via SMTP, as we saw in the last couple of videos. 2 videos ago? Yeah. I think so. Or last video. Nonetheless, when you were sending emails using Gmail, you can instead swap that for this default SMTP login and default password, and you can send emails using SMTP using these two things. The other option is to go on a more Pythonic scale and use the API. Using the API is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is install requests and run a API request. So we're going to look at using that in this video. Okay, now in the authorized recipients, you're going to want to add your own email. So this is actually quite new. It used to be you could only send to your own email, but it seems that now is a new thing. So you can invite yourself in there, invite recipient, and I'm guessing I'll get an email saying, hey, confirm you want to be emailed by this guy, and we're going to say yes. So if that's the case, sorry about the misinformation earlier. This is the new way to do it, apparently, which is good. And that's it. So all you need, now that you've invited your authorized recipients, is get the API-based URL and the API key. Remember these details and go over to PyCharm, where we will continue setting up this and sending emails using Mailgun. So let's go over to PyCharm. After we copy this, we're going to put Mailgun API URL is going to be this, and Mailgun API key is going to be this key. There you have it. Now we have our two different values here. What we need is also a way to store who the emails are coming from, who they're going to, and sort of the subject and the content of the email. Okay, so from name is going to be Jose in this case. From email is going to be jose@schoolofcode.me. To emails, and this is going to be a list of emails, is going to be another email, another@gmail.com. And you can put multiple emails there if you want, so you can send emails to more than one person. The subject is going to be test email for me, and the content is just going to be a simple content. Hello, this is a test email. Okay, now we've got all our data. And notice how these are all constants in Python. And constants in Python are always uppercase, and that just means we're not going to change them. Then all we have to do is import requests. So we're going to do import requests. If you don't have it installed, just install it in the environment that you're using for this project. And then we do requests.post. And here it goes. We're going to put Mailgun API URL. This is where the request is going to go to. Then we've got an auth variable here, and the auth variable is a tuple. So the first element of the tuple is API, and the second one is the API key. Okay, so there's a tuple there. And all this says is the request is going to go through with some data to the API URL, and in that data is going to contain this authentication data. And this is called basic auth. This is basic auth. And essentially it just contains sort of a key and a value, and they can identify you with this value here. It's not terribly secure, it's not the most secure way of doing things, but it is basic and simple. And then we're going to have a data dictionary. And in this dictionary, we're going to have a from, which is going to be the from email. Then we are going to have a to, that is going to be to emails. We're going to have a subject, that is going to be the subject, and text, that is going to be the content. Now, where is from name used? Well, this from is actually not meant to be just an email. It's meant to be a f-string that contains the from name and then from email here as well. Okay, now we've got here the name and the email is coming from. And this format, I'm sure you've seen it before, like when you get an email through, I'm not going to say legacy system, but something like Outlook or something like that. Normally it's like Rolf Smith, and it's like Rolf Smith at example.net. So yeah, it's normally in this format, and this is the format we're replicating here as well. And Mailgun understands that, and it allows us to give a name to the sender, so that when somebody receives it, they'll see who it's coming from as opposed to just an email. Okay, I'm going to put this in the same line just because that looks a bit nicer to me. And that's it. Once the authorized recipient is successfully authorized, you can run this and it'll send a request to the Mailgun API URL. It'll authenticate you with your API key, and then it'll send this data over, and they will do all the hard work of constructing the email, making sure it's sent, and of course it's really simple to put this in a function and make it take a few parameters, and very easily you can send email to multiple people. So normally when I am making a new Flask application and I want to send emails, all I do is honestly, I put it in a function, and then I call that function from multiple parts of my application, and it's really simple to send emails that way. We're going to look over the next couple of videos at how to sort of organize this email sending method a bit nicely, and that way you can reuse it in your applications if you want. So that's it. Try it out. Let me know if it works. And hopefully you enjoyed learning about sending emails using Mailgun. The same method, by the way, or a very similar one, will apply for other email sending providers like SendGrid. That's it for this video. I'll see you on the next one.